Hello, I'm Dr. Gareth Moore and I'm a puzzle author, but in this video I'm not writing puzzles, I'm looking at this, the Intergalactic Race, which is the 2025 Exit the Game Advent Calendar. And if you've seen my channel before, you will know that I've solved the previous 4 Exit the Game Advent Calendars. But let's start by having a look at this. So there we go. This year we've got, well, I was going to say Santa and some reindeer, but that's most certainly not Santa, is it? So that appears to be some sort of like bunny rabbit who delivers the post, would be my guess. And there's a Christmas tree and some stars. In fact, on most Exit products, you have this sort of vertical star. It's like their trademark symbol almost. And it says on the front, look out for balloons that are choking hazards. So, okay, I will do that. On the back of the box, some pictures of things that are in the box, but in particular, it has the story. So for months, the main topic of conversation in the cosmos has been the huge 24-day Le Mans race, and you get to be part of it. How lucky! That quirky guy at the space bar hired you to join his team. Yeah, the space bar, you know, the one right next to the Alt key. In addition to fame and honour, the winner of this amazing race will, from now on, get to host Christmas. Woohoo! No wonder there are more teams competing than ever before. Everyone wants to win. I mean, everyone wants Christmas. Alright, so it then says it's an adventure story where over 24 days you have to try and race to the finish line. Will you make it onto the winner's podium? Well, I guess we'll find out on Christmas Eve. But until then, clearly we've got 24 days of riddles to solve. Now, I wonder if there's anything else useful in the back of the box. Sometimes there's things on here that will show up later, and in particular, I did notice, in fact, having a quick look just now, it says you should look to the right after every S. So inside, I'm expecting these 2 books. Whether the actual book will say that on it, I don't know. And I also just noticed that down here it says there will be a handkerchief inside, which is not something you necessarily expect in an advent calendar, but there we go. Right, now I think to get going we need to cut these bits of tape, so I shall do that. So apparently not very effectively, and then we'll open the box and see exactly what it looks like inside. Because one thing I can say is that usually there's a lot of detail, and that detail is not just decorative, it's part of the puzzles. Right, so let's open the lid. Ooh, oh! It's actually, I will say, let me show you the lid first, because I'm going to fold it out of the way in a moment. But here's the lid, and it's relatively plain. It's got some different coloured planets, what looks like an aerial with it, and a space station. And then here's the calendar itself. You can see that it's relatively undecorated. I mean, it's obviously very colourful, but compared to previous years, there's a lot less detail there. Let me just break these tabs so that I can fold it back. It always feels a bit of a shame to be damaging the calendar on the first day, but if I don't do this, it's going to be really hard to put it on my desk and have a look at it. Right, so this is the calendar, and you can see it. Oh, door 1 is labelled, so we know where to start. And also what fell out as I opened it, you may have heard a clunk, but is a storybook and the help book and game instructions. Inside here, yes, is, well, it's going to be a decoder strip, but at the moment it's a decoder strip kit. I think what I need to do, I haven't followed instructions yet, so perhaps I should read them, but we cut along this and to make 3 strips and slide them through the middle so that we can use them to convert each day numbers into direction moves. Those direction moves will then become patterns of shapes, and we will go from day to day following the directions and checking that the pattern of shapes matches the door we end up on, and if we do find that they match, then we've identified where our door for the next day is. Right, but let's have a look at the instructions and see what it says there. So here, the help book and game instructions for 1 player or 1 team. You're my team, right? 10 years and up. Room for notes. Yes, well, there we go. Advent calendar, the Intergalactic Race. What's the game about? Well, it probably says what it says on the back. In fact, I think it's maybe exactly the same text. Important, before you start the game, do not take a closer look at any of the game materials and do not open any of the doors. Sound advice really for most advent calendars. Wait until the game prompts you to do so and read these instructions carefully. So look, we've got a decoder table, a storybook, and this help book, which also I think I will find contains hints for the different days if I was to want to look at them. And nothing wrong with taking a hint if you're stuck. Better than being frustrated for ages. So to set the game up, we cut the decoder strips out and thread them in so that we can do exactly what I just said. We'll also need, what do we need actually? Pens, a black waterproof pen, a ballpoint pen, a pencil, a pair of scissors, a strong light, and if necessary, paper for notes. Where's the game board? Well, I'm pretty sure it's the calendar and the storybook. Every day we separate the calendar sheet at the perforated line from the storybook, read the story, and then open the door. So yeah, I think there's more instructions on how to solve the calendar. They're all very helpful if you've never solved one before, but I have. So we won't need to read this now. Needs help? Yep, it tells you about the clues. And how does the game end? Well, let's just see what it says at the end. The game ends when you've solved the last riddle and reached the end of the Intergalactic Race. A hint will let you know. Then you may read the closing chapter in the storybook. There we go. So talking of the storybook, let's have a look at that now. And here we go, there's my decoder strip just flying across the room. So the Intergalactic Race. And there's an introduction, and again, room for even more notes. And the introduction, let's have a look, is 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, and then there's some text for today, and then possibly there's some stuff for today's puzzle on the back of there, yeah, and then underneath there will be the stuff we'll look at tomorrow's day. But for now, I'm not going to read 5 pages out, but what I will do is read it myself and then summarise the story for you. Alright, well, I've now read the story. I shall read aloud the first couple of paragraphs to give you a feel for how it's written, and then I shall pre-see the rest. But it's early December in a galaxy far, far away. After a long day at work, you are looking forward to a refreshing drink in your favourite watering hole. You enter the somewhat shabby space bar and make your way to the counter. You know the barman, a houndian with an eye patch, quite well. Can you make me a double yuppie tar, Tom? Coming right up, he replies, and grabs a fresh glass. You relax into your favourite spot at the counter and let your gaze wander across the dimly lit room. Like most evenings, the singing of the beautiful four-armed Ganymede can be heard from the stage. The tables are full of the usual clientele, but also a few people you've never seen here before. And it goes on to describe some of them and what they're doing. But they're basically watching television where this intergalactic race is about to start. Good heavens, yes, the race! You had completely forgotten it starts today. The entire cosmos has been talking about nothing else for weeks. Once again, the IMB, the Intergalactic Maritime Board, is organising the 24-day Le Mans race. If you remember correctly, it's some kind of big anniversary. This year, the route will lead through large swathes of space. Now, what's interesting then, it tells you in a story, is that the route is now a secret this year, or bits of it are secret. And that's going to make it more interesting because you have to work out the route as you go. And I guess that's probably the story behind the calendar. So you're watching this on the television and it says the commentator is now talking about how doggedly the candidates are prepared. Some would have left their home planets, quit their jobs and put their social lives on hold. Well, they're all a little over-optimistic, you say, shortly. You said it, the gaunt man next to you replies. After a short pause he adds, do you have any plans for December? You look at him in surprise. No. Why? The stranger points his star shake towards the screen. That's his drink, by the way. Because of the race. I could use a helping hand. You almost drop your yuppie tar in astonishment. You are taking part in this? The man nods curtly and shoves a handful of Casio nuts into his mouth. When he notices your astonished expression, he mutters just one word. Christmas! And looks at you calmly, as if taking part in the 24-day Le Mans is the most natural thing in the world. So, he then says your duties will be to help look after him while he flies the spaceship, and he introduces himself. My name is Herr Bronze der Verklauselinsky to sneak, he said. One of my friends called me Claus. Right, okay, very pleased to meet you, Claus, you reply, shaking his hand in surprise, which he seems to take as agreement. So there we go. Without knowing exactly why, you make a decision. All right then, count me in. You grab your yuppie tar and slide off the bar stool. Bye, Tom. See you at the end of December. I think Tom was the barman. Let's go to the 24-day Le Mans race. Are you ready? Then continue reading on the calendar page 1st of December and get us started with the first riddle. So there we go. That is the story. And here is the 1st of December, which I will read. As you step out of the bar, you're almost run over by a turbo sleigh. Startled, you take a step back and see the same rabbit in the driver's seat who had just ruined the dartboard inside. I didn't read that bit. He races away, his ears flapping in the wind. I wonder if he is taking part in the race too, you mutter to yourself in a low voice. Sure he is, someone says next to you. It's the shaggy white giant from the bar who obviously also speaks your language. We're all taking part, he adds. The rabbit, me and her too. He points with his hairy paw over to the pale lady who was bored in a kind of futuristic white hot air balloon. The shaggy creature climbs into his craft, which looks like he built it himself out of spare parts he found at home. It mostly resembles a rusty boiler. By the way, I'm the Yeti, he says in a friendly voice. I'm pretty sure that's a reference to last year's advent calendar. I'll see you at the finish, if you make it there, that is. He steps on the accelerator and his steam-powered boiler rattles into motion. Now, you're curious to see Claus's vehicle. You frown and look around the parking lot where there are many waiting vehicles. How are you supposed to know which one is his? So you go back to the bar and shout in the hallway in front of the toilets, which is where he'd gone. Claus, are you nearly done? I'll be here a little while, comes the answer from inside. What does your spaceship look like, you call again. Oh, funny story, he replies. Until half an hour ago, I didn't have a spaceship. But then a used spacecraft dealer came into the bar. He bought me a Starshake and offered me a vehicle. Of course, I jumped at it straight away. The race is imminent. I have no idea what the thing looks like, though. Sold as described was the deal. But it was such a bargain. Of course, I wrote down which one I bought. The details are on the dealer's business card. It should still be on the counter. Maybe it's not entirely legible. The Starshake was in the way, sorry. Sighing, you make your way back to the bar to look for Claus's notes. Now turn the page and open door 1, behind which we expect to find 2 riddle cards labelled A1 and A2, and a strange item, a coaster. Right, so let's have a look on the back of this. Oh, we've got some bits and pieces, and presumably, well, they're all spaceship. Maybe bits and pieces is a very vague way of saying that. And they're all spaceship, and one thing in common is that they all have writing on them with some coloured letters, and that's presumably how we're going to choose which one is our spaceship. But let's just say they all look pretty sleek. I'll be happy with any of them. So now we have to go to the calendar and actually open door 1. All right, well, let's detach this so it's easier to keep track of this picture, which I'm sure we're going to need. But for now, door 1 is over here. Okay, so day 1, here we go. Right, so we're expecting 2 riddle cards, A1 and A2, and a strange item. This is the strange item. Ooh, that's like that picture or something similar to it was on the back of the box. And I think we can still see the bar we were at here. So this is a press out, I think. Are we using that today? Or are we collecting? Maybe this refers to what's on the side of the ships, because I have all the ships here too. In fact, we can have a closer look at what's on the ships, because I didn't really show it very clearly earlier. So we have blue, yellow, orange for ICO. I think they all start TYP in black. Oh, pink, I think, white, orange for IOC. Oh, so they all have IOC. No, that's not true. It has ICU. And their eyes are always blue, maybe? No, there's a pink eye here. So their colours and the letters are not matched. So in other words, for example, we have a blue C here and a yellow C here. And yeah, quite a range of colours, in fact. But there must be some relevance to the colour and the letters. But let's have a look at these. So A1 says, ooh, this is the business card then. Used rockets and spacecraft. V. Heikel, founder and managing director, Milky Way 17, 60783 Mercury. And then there's a phone number. Okay, and the colours on that phone number, I mean, I would suggest correspond with the colours on here. Now, if there was only one colour per letter, I would say perhaps we're spelling words, and we're going to read those coloured letters to mean something, but that's obviously not it. So I'll come back to that. What's on the other card? Aha, please keep safe. This card will show you the way to the correct route later on your travels. And you would superficially say that looks like Morse code. I think it's fair to say that card is pretty clearly telling you don't need it today. So, unless we can find a way of using ... on this puzzle, I will indeed put that away. Well, what are we doing with that circular thing here? Does that connect to this? And there's of course, well, I say of course, but there's something on the side here which I haven't used yet either. It looks like it's possibly the top of some text. Like it could be, I mean, superficially it's TV sort of O, maybe an A, I-U-C, but it could be a top of a T, a Y, an A, an I, an H and an E, perhaps. It's hard to know. Does it connect to anything? It doesn't connect to these symbols here, does it? But it doesn't hurt, I think, to have a quick look at the prompt for today again, to see what it says. It was a bargain. I wrote down which one on the dealer's business card. It should still be on the counter. Okay, so presumably this is the details of the ship we want then, because that's the only place someone has written on the card, right? Maybe it's not entirely legible. The star shape was in the way. Okay, so that does suggest we've got half of the letters. Sign, you make your way back to the bar to look for his notes. So one possible option we're doing is remembering that we always need a 3-digit number. Is perhaps some of these letters match with the colours, and we're selecting certain ones, because at the end of the day we always need a 3-digit number to put into our decoder strip, which I have actually not yet assembled. So let's just do that first. Right, now I've cut the strips out. They need to be assembled in here. So I think like this. So once we've solved each day's puzzle, we put the 3-digit code into here, into this decoder system, and we turn it over then to see where our door for the next day is. Now, you would suggest that the 3-digit number will be one of these 3 sets of coloured letters, because that sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Actually, one other thing I've just noticed is that this drinks mat, presumably they've written it's got these lines on it, so I think they've written the name of the ship across the join between the two. So we're looking for a ship that's called TYPIHF. TYPI, and it's actually on the camera here. TYPIHF, presumably none of the other ships, IFH. None of the other ships have got the same name, because if they did, that would be tricky. So this is our ship, and I have to say it is the most beaten up looking one of the lot. But there we go, TIPIHF, and now we have on here green, red, blue. And I would suggest that we now use the phone number to get a code. So green, red, blue is 7 1, 3. I now notice that I've clearly put the yellow and red ones the wrong way around, which was a very special way of getting the puzzle wrong, because that's definitely going to prevent me getting the correct answers. So we go here to our decoder and put 713 in. Now there are colours on the decoder strips, and if the colours of the spaceship were red, yellow and blue, then I would suggest there was a slight chance it was given the order to put them into the strip. But green isn't one of the colours on our decoder, so we're probably just putting them in order from top to bottom. So we have 713, which gives us a solution, so to speak, of left, 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 and a set of shapes: circle, diamond, hexagon. So here's the question. If we have a look at our whole calendar and start at the 1, and now follow these directions, do we end up at somewhere that matches this string, this sequence of shapes? So we go left, 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 and have we got circle, diamond, hexagon? We do, which means that we can now confidently label this door circle, diamond, hexagon with a 2. And we know where to start tomorrow. Well, at least we actually start with the story, but we know which door to open tomorrow. Well, there we go. That is day 1 solved. And if you enjoyed that, you may also enjoy some of the other advent calendars I'm solving this Christmas, including this Cluedo advent calendar, the first Cluedo advent calendar, I believe, Secrets Under Snowfall. And there's a TV show in the UK, at least, I think it's broadcast around the world, called Taskmaster. And there's this really fun advent calendar that is out this year for the first time that I'm also solving. So you'll find those videos linked, if not at the end of this video, then in the descriptions down below, along with plenty of other advent calendar solves as well. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you solved the calendar yourself, or you have some thoughts watching, do please feel free to comment down below. I'd love to know how you got on. And if you'd love to join me for this solving experience from day to day throughout Advent, then do please consider subscribing to the channel. It'd be great to have you with us. And if you like escape room type games, then you will enjoy many of the other videos on this channel probably too, that I've solved mostly with my colleague Laura. So lots to look at if you want to, but hopefully you will join me tomorrow for day 2 of this calendar. But until then, take care and goodbye.